Hey, Mitty, you played any open world games lately?
Sure, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
No, the other one.
Immortals Phoenix Rising,
No, I'm talking about another one.
Watch Dogs Legion,
No, there's another one. I can't think of it.
Cyberpunk 2077.
That's the one. Oh, that's the one. Welcome to the next episode. What episode number is it? 12? 13?
I have to get back to you on that.
It's definitely the next one of the Hard Mode podcast.
Welcome to the episode after the last.
After the last
I think
one.
it's 12. I think we did 11.
I'm D Hard. That's the Mitt.
That's T Hard.
So
Never mind.
we've been enjoying both the new Xbox and the PS5, playing games on there on the reg. Both are good consoles. But I've been playing Cyberpunk on PC.
Not on consoles.
Not on console, which is obviously the right choice, seeing as how the controversy has taken place alongside of this game.
Refunded. It's getting refunded. That's never good.
So basically the story is base PS4 and Xbox One consoles back from 2013 and 2014 are not running Cyberpunk at a playable frame rate. It's basically running at like sub 20 frames per second on those consoles.
Like this.
Exactly like that. Everything is like very slow and behind and non-responsive, and there's not a whole lot of the latency is like
bad.
ridiculous.
It sucks.
So Sony has decided to start giving refunds and removed Cyberpunk from their digital store, so you can't even purchase it on the PS4. And Xbox is apparently also giving refunds if people really want it, but they haven't pulled it from the store.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, they run pretty well on the newer consoles, like the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One X, and then the PS5 and the Series X, or S, I would assume.
It runs well enough to actually play the game.
Yes, exactly. It runs well enough to play the game. But the other controversy is that there are a lot of bugs. Which I don't think is a detriment to the game as much as people think it is. I think the main issue is it running smoothly on the consoles. I think the bugs are pretty hilarious, honestly.
The ones I've seen are pretty funny.
Like they're pretty amazing. Like I'm
I'm
impressed by the quality of GIF we've had.
In most games, as long as it's not a game-breaking bug that prevents you from completing it, it's usually pretty funny.
Right.
Like, that doesn't mean you want them all the time, but it's funny.
It can be a hindrance at times, like, if you're running into mission bugs, which, by the way, I've run into more quest bugs that stop me from completing quests in Assassin's Creed Valhalla than I have in Cyberpunk so far. So,
Wow.
there's that. But, most of the bugs that I've encountered are, like, people walking through walls or like things floating in the air, or
That's funny.
Yeah, or like the videos we've all seen of cars flying and crashing into the ground, or a guy floating out of a car saying "Hola" and then
exploding,
and then the car explodes.
That's pretty funny.
So there's a ton of stuff. There's ways to like get out of the map and climb over buildings, and there's tons of bugs. But so far, I haven't had any crashes. I haven't had any bugs that, like, broke the game and I couldn't keep playing or I had to restart a checkpoint or anything. But I have had some things, some jank with it, like characters just, like, walking into walls and walking through walls.
Just, like, weird stuff that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, just little weird things that every once in a while will, like, take you out of the immersion of the game, because it is the world that Cyberpunk takes place in is incredible once you get into it.
Once you can actually experience it.
Yeah, so one example was very early in the game, you are riding in a car, having a conversation with someone. I'll try and keep this spoiler free from even from the beginning. So by the way, I'm only 15 hours into the game. Like, that's all I have into it. I haven't done much main story, but I'll keep away from spoilers that have happened so far. Anyway,
I haven't played the game at all.
he stinks. So basically, you're riding in the car with a gentleman and you're having a conversation, and I was like blown away by the quality of like conversation that was taking place and the fact that like you're constantly in control of your character. If you look down, you can see your legs, and like you have like your leg up on your other leg, like you're just chilling, and you also like can wrap your arm around like the chair like this, so like you're in first person looking at the person talking to you. If you turn to your right, like your arm, you can see it like that. It's just like little touches that make it like feel very, very alive and real. So I'm in the car, I'm having this experience, and I turn and look out the window of the car, and there's a person walking down the street like this, like he's carrying a briefcase down on the side, but the briefcase is floating like 10 feet behind him. And it's just like not in his hand at all. And it's just like little stuff like that. Like, yes, it's funny, but also it kind of like broke the immersion for a second, because I was like, damn, this is really, really cool how good this looks. And then I look over and this guy's got a briefcase like 10 feet following him behind him, like bobbing up and down in midair. But
that's good stuff. That's good stuff right there.
So I will say, to start, if you're gonna get Cyberpunk, definitely make sure you have a newer console or
a high-end PC.
Or a PC that can run games relatively well. So I've been playing 1440p with VSync on, because I'm getting a ton of screen tearing as it is right now. VSync unfortunately locks at the 60 FPS, so I can't get over that without like ridiculous screen tearing, and I've been messing with tons of settings trying to get it a little bit cleaner. But right now I have it at 1440, VSync on, locked to 60 FPS, but ultra settings all the way through, ray tracing on ultra for everything, and it looks amazing, like the lighting, the everything.
And say what your PC specs are that you're able to run.
Oh, right. So I have a i9, right? i9?
Yes.
i9 9900K processor with a 2080 Super. And then I have 16 gigabytes of RAM.
So pretty
high
top
end.
of the line stuff.
Yeah, pretty high end, and that's where I am right now. So as far as the game itself, so far the story, music, visuals, blown away by how good it all is. Like, the storytelling keeps you engaged right from the beginning. You can clearly see how choices you make just with like dialogue or how you approach missions can change the outcome of things and change like how characters perceive you. There's definitely missions that I've experienced differently from my friends who have played the game. So like I say something happened, they're like, wait a second, that didn't happen to me, or like stuff happened to them that didn't happen to me, which is really cool. There are tons of side missions and side content to do, all that have like their own characters and stories, and each mission you can kind of approach. One thing I really love about the game is that something that we talked about when we were discussing Assassin's Creed was that I went to that town and tried to get the treasure, but it wouldn't let me until I went back for a main story mission. With this game, it gives you tons of options on how to approach everything, and you can approach it like whenever and however.
Anytime.
So like there was a mission where I had to go into a safe house, find a guy, like a character that they had locked up, and they were torturing him for information. And the side objective for the mission, they would pay me more money if I went in undetected. So I was like, I'm 100% doing that. So your options going in are stealth and just try and crouch and find the guy, go in guns blazing and screw it, just murder everybody. Or you can find alternate pathways and try and stealth in through there. So I feel like I did it in a unique way where I went in, I killed 2 people in the lobby without being detected. I found an office with a computer. I hacked into the computer because a big part of the game is being able to hack computers and other people's cybernetics, meaning everyone in this world has cybernetic enhancements.
Come from those like microchip enhancements.
So
basically.
Right from the beginning of the game, they give
like
you
we're all gonna have when we get the coronavirus vaccine.
So in the beginning of the game, they give you an eye enhancement that lets you zoom in and lets you scan your environment. They give you a hand, I think it's a hand one, a hand enhancement that lets you like link with your gun to show a HUD. To show a HUD. Oh yeah, and they let you pick the size of your PP. So anyway, every mission and area of the game, the level design and world design is set up in a way like Dishonored or Deus Ex, where you have a ton of different options of how you want to approach things. So you can go in, it's great. I love it. So you can go in just guns blazing, you can go in stealthy, you can go in and just start hacking everything. So there have been multiple examples where I've gone in somewhere and I've hacked things to distract enemies. And then you can hack the enemies. So one example I have is there were 2 enemies facing one another and I couldn't get them apart. And you can like use things to distract them. So what I did was I hacked one of their cybernetics so they couldn't see. It blinded them. And then I ran over and killed the other guy, and the other guy looked around and was like, "Where'd you go?" And then I went over and killed him when he turned around, and I was like, dude, that is so sweet.
Yeah, that's
like
awesome.
There's so many things that you can do. There's so many ways to approach everything.
Any game that lets you do that type of stuff instantly feels
more rewarding.
More rewarding and less like you're in a game, more like you're actually like controlling a real person.
Yes. So once you get underneath of the bugs and like the stability issues that it has, it's like a really, really interesting game with great story, characters, music, visuals. The gunplay feels solid to me personally. I know some people said it's not amazing, but the thing is, you can get cybernetics and weapon attachments that can change how guns feel and like give you less recoil, give you more control over the guns, give you certain like abilities with each weapon that can cater it to how you want to play the game, basically. Yeah. So early on, it might not feel like you want it to, but if you start getting enhancements and new weapons and new attachments, you can really change how it plays. And then there's the stealth, which is pretty solid as well. Like I said, with the hacking, you have tons of items and hacking abilities, and you can customize all your hacks how you want as well. So like I told you, I used a hack to blind someone. Well, you can also do it to overload their cybernetics, and it'll make them like paralyzed, or you can overheat their cybernetics and it'll make it feel like they're on fire from the inside out. But the thing is, enemies can, if you encounter enemies with cybernetic abilities that are super powerful, they can also do the same thing to you, and you have to shoot them or hurt them to distract them so they can't do it. Because every once in a while, let's say you're being hacked, you need to act quickly before like it happens. Mm. So there's tons of variables in combat, and it feels very good to have like multiple enemies come at you, and you use all of your abilities and weapons to take them all down. It feels incredible because you can hack their cameras and use their cameras against them. You can hack their turrets. You can hack their own abilities, like everything, and change the tide of the battle. And then there's also obviously just like pistols, shotguns, SMGs, assault rifles, sniper rifles, grenades, and all the different types of grenades, like kind of like a EMP bomb or a frag grenade or a fire grenade, whatever. There's tons of stuff. So overall, as a game, Cyberpunk, like if you're like on the fence about it, honestly, I would say just wait like maybe until next year and then pull the trigger on it because there'll be updates out for stability and fixing some of the issues.
They're like already pumping updates
right,
out,
and
so
they
it's only
already
gonna get better
they
as time goes
already
on.
put out 2 updates for stability and fixed a ton of bugs that existed in the game, and they're going to be smoothing out the experience. So I would recommend personally waiting maybe another couple of weeks for them to put out a few updates, because the game underneath of all the issues is really, really good and really fun, and it takes like the feeling of playing like an Elder Scrolls game or some other open world game and puts you in this futuristic city that feels amazing to just walk around in. Like every time I turn on the game, I just look around and I'm like, holy crap, this looks crazy. And you'll be opening up photo mode constantly because of how cool everything looks and how it feels. So I definitely recommend Cyberpunk, but with the stipulation that if you don't have one of the new gen consoles or a very high-end PC, just hold off. Wait for maybe a couple weeks, see what updates come out, and then buy the game and enjoy it, because it's definitely a good game once you can get past the technical issues that everybody's experiencing.
We knew it would be good. It was just this type of stuff was what everyone was afraid of. Like, CDPR doesn't really make bad games.
Yeah, like their game design.
Like, I have faith in them making a good game. It's just obviously they were rushed to ship it. They pushed it back a bunch of times. People got pissed, and somebody that's higher up probably said, we need to get this out sooner because we keep pushing it back and everybody's getting mad, and now they pushed it out sooner, right. And there's a bunch of bugs they didn't fix, and it's a whole thing now because of that, when honestly they probably would have been better off just delaying it again till whatever, February, March, whatever.
And the Max Pears, he's one of the level designers for Cyberpunk. Remember I did what level did I did the Death Stranding level design. That was the guy. He is one of the level designers on Cyberpunk, and he knows what he's doing. Like, he's really good. So I can see, like, he, before Cyberpunk, worked on the Division 2. So you can really see, like, where they took inspiration from some of his level design philosophies from the Division, because you're experiencing the same sort of scenarios because you're in a city, you can enter buildings and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool. I'm not super far, but I feel like this is a game kind of like I felt back in the day when I turned on like Oblivion for the first time, and you're just like, wow, this is crazy.
Felt like there was like so much to do, and you could just
right.
Those types of RPGs are the best when you like get lost in completing quests.
I saw a lot of people comparing it to like New Vegas, where like it's just incredible and you want to just put time into it.
You get like 3 connected quests, you run through all of them, and then you look at the clock and it's been 6 hours and you don't even realize it. Like, those are the types of RPGs that are just so good and so easy to sink time into.
Yep, and then the driving, I've been using keyboard and mouse, so it's very difficult, but, I mean, the driving's fine. Like, it's fun, especially if you're on a motorcycle and you start launching off of stuff, or, like, you eject off like you're playing GTA and fly into a building and stuff. It's a good time. Like, there's plenty of stuff to do if you want to just get chased by the cops and murder, or if you want to focus on the main story, or if you want to just do side missions, or you just want to drive and drift around. It's
just have fun.
It's got so much stuff to do.
Yeah, it looks sick. I can't wait to play it.
So we'll probably talk more about Cyberpunk once he plays it, and obviously
might be my next episode. So we'll see.
Yeah, once they start fixing some things, he plays it, and I get a little deeper into it. We'll probably have another discussion. But the other thing that happened recently was the Call of Duty update. And I haven't played much of it, but he has. So take it away, Mitt.
Basically, if you don't know, they imported all the Cold War guns into Warzone, which basically just means they made the Cold War guns, but on the Modern Warfare engine, which went surprisingly well. And it was a smooth transition. Yeah. And it's actually really good so far, with the biggest issue being that the Cold War guns are just flat out underpowered. which has a lot to do with the attachments. So when they transitioned the attachments over from Cold War to Modern Warfare engine, they kept the attachments and their stats the same from Cold War to Modern Warfare. But the thing is, Cold War doesn't have things like the mono suppressor, the 27-inch barrels, like 60-round mags. They don't have those things that the Modern Warfare guns have, which is perfectly fine in Cold War multiplayer because you're only fighting against Cold War guns. But in Modern Warfare, it makes them useless. Like, no matter what...
You need range in Warzone.
In Warzone, you absolutely have to have range on your assault rifle, and every single Modern Warfare assault rifle can outshoot every single Cold War assault rifle because it has a mono suppressor and a long barrel, and it's just... there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Now, since the update released, they already updated again and made it so the agency suppressor, which is the last one you unlock on all the guns in Cold War, is now basically the mono in Modern Warfare. So now it gives damage range like the mono suppressor does. Now, I still don't think that ARs are good enough to compete with the Kilo or AMAX, but they're better. The other thing is, though, that suppressor buff did make SMGs good. You can get away with using the MP5, the AK-74U, any of those SMGs from Cold War. And then, of course, the new gun that was added. Well, there's two new guns that were added, the Groza and the MAC-10. But the MAC-10's the meta now, which I was just telling him, it's like the most fun I've had in Warzone in so long, because it's the first time, literally since Warzone came out, that the secondary meta wasn't a shotgun or the MP5. There's never been another, like, secondary meta besides those two guns, and now it's the MAC-10. And it's like got high mobility, super high rate of fire. It's got a 53 bullet magazine, which is like insane for an SMG, but it chews through it so fast because of the rate of fire. And if you put the right attachments on it, it's an absolute beam. I've been hosing people with it. Twitch.tv/Mitsofty. Let's get it. But yeah, overall the update's been pretty good.
The new map is okay.
The new map is cool. It is Alcatraz from Blackout, so it's not really anything new, but they made it so the only game type you can play on it is Resurgence, which is cool for a few games, but it kind of gets old. It's not really for me. I'd rather play regular BR. I think if they do put regular BR on it and only make it like 50 people total or whatever, it's going to be fun because it is chaotic. It's crazy.
It'll go very quickly.
It's so small, and the buildings are so, like, there's so much verticality in the building and stuff. There's a lot of fighting in the same areas all the time, and people just running around, jumping through windows and stuff. Like, the whole Resurgence Trios thing feels like the end game of a BR, because it's just so chaotic, and actual BR is going to be nuts. And I hope that happens sooner than later, because it's going to be fun.
The Resurgence game mode, I feel like, makes it harder to navigate the map because people are constantly respawning, whereas if it was a regular Battle Royale game mode...
Well, here's the thing.
You can easily
if you don't know, Resurgence makes it so if one person on your team's alive, they stay alive for like 15 seconds or whatever, and your teammates who are dead spawn back in. So somebody just has to survive. So it makes two things happen. One is you kill two people on the other team, and the third one just runs away and hides, which is not fun for anyone. And two, it makes it so you're fighting a team, you start to get third-partied, or other players from their team spawn in and are literally falling from the sky and getting on a roof above you and finding a gun or whatever because they know where you are already. That's why, like, Plunder and any respawn modes in like Verdansk or any of the Warzone stuff is just, in my opinion, trash, because anytime you can just fall from the sky, land exactly where you know they are, and have a weapon, it's dumb. Like, it's just stupid. Like, if I know you're fighting my team on the ground right there, I'm just going to land up here on this roof and beam you with whatever gun I find, and there's literally nothing you can do. It's not good. But that's why BR is better, because if I kill you, you're dead. Like, that's it. That's how it should be. And that's, I mean, Resurgence is fine if people, like, if you like playing it, like, do your thing. But it's, I played a couple games, and I'm good. So I won't be playing Alcatraz until Battle Royale comes out for it, basically. Or if I do, it's very minimal, like 1 or 2 games, and then I'm
just as a warm-up or something.
Yeah, but Verdansk is definitely still the move just because of the game mode, but I I can't imagine when BR launches on that little map, freaking like Huskers, he's literally gonna kill everyone on the map. Like, it's gonna be insane. Those guys, those like pro guys, their clips are gonna be nuts. They're gonna like walk into a building complex and wipe like 8 teams in 12 seconds.
Yeah, that one building, the big building that's in the center, seems like it'll be a absolute war zone.
Yeah, there's so much potential for, like, obviously there's not going to be as high of kill games because they have to have fewer people on the map, but there's so much potential for like quickly cutting through like 5 teams in the first 2 minutes of the game because everyone's in such a compact, like, small little area. But it's cool and I like it a lot.
Right.
And yeah, I'll have more to say on that when they actually release Battle Royale, because I don't consider Resurgence to actually even be a real game. Alright, we can move on from Call of Duty now, in my opinion.
Alright, game we've both been playing recently is Sackboy.
What's it called? Sackboy The Big Adventure?
Sackboy's Big
Adventure?
Big Adventure, I think.
Something like that.
For PlayStation 5.
It's surprisingly really freaking good.
Mm-hmm. So it is a up to 4 player co-op 3D platformer, definitely inspired by Super Mario 3D World, with Cat Mario and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely inspired by that.
Surprisingly good, not because I didn't think that it would be a good game, but because it's better than good. Like, I think it's an excellent game. Right. And it's very fun co-op.
So you've got your move set of roll, jump, hover in midair for a second, grab
it's kind of like a Yoshi. It's kind of like a Yoshi hover. It's like a and you get like a little bit of a boost. It's not really like a float.
Right. And then there's tons of things like grabbing onto things and swinging, or pulling things out of a wall, or pushing things around, or picking things up and throwing them. And then there's also items that you can get at the start of a level, like a boomerang to throw.
Level-specific items where you carry it all the way through the level, but it unlocks some sort of new mechanic that you use to traverse the level, like boomerang, jetpack, shooting lasers.
Mm-hmm. The honey, so you can walk up and down the walls.
Like whip, you get like a grapple. You like grapple
a grappling hook, and you can grab and throw things with
including your teammates,
and swing around like Spider-Man and stuff like that.
By the way, the whole time you're playing, if you're playing co-op, you can just punch your teammates in the face. You can throw stuff at them. You can pick
throw them off a cliff.
Yeah, you can pick them up, throw them right off a cliff.
You can also do like a roll, and people can walk on top of you and be running on top of you.
If you have 2, 3, 4 people to play this game co-op, you will have a good time.
Highly recommend.
You will have a good time.
So there are difficulty spikes at times, and there are definitely some very difficult levels.
Weirdly difficult. Like, very difficult out of nowhere. Like, you'll just be playing like a casual level, and all of a sudden it's the hardest thing you've ever done.
I would probably recommend, especially if you're playing with like 3 to 4 people, just playing with no lives turned on, because it doesn't, like, the lives just make it annoying to have to start the levels over.
And we 100% the collectibles on every level, and there's some that are like, it's not that they're hard to get, but like there's certain levels where there's like, the level moves the whole time, and you just have to like get stuff really quick before it moves on.
Right.
Or like you're fighting a boss, and like all of a sudden one of the collectibles drops, and you just have to like be right in the right position at the right time. Just like silly stuff like that, where like if you miss it, you have 2 seconds to get it, and if you miss it, you gotta start the whole level over.
Yeah, there's some very odd placements for some of the collectibles. Like, remember that one where you just had to like jump off of the thing you're riding on, and like there's just little weird difficulty spikes in the game, but overall, like, it is extremely well designed, and each level brings like new ideas to the table.
And like, specifically, the one thing I'm thinking of is when we did the first level where you get a jetpack and you can shoot laser balls out of your hand. There was nothing that told us that you could shoot laser balls out of your hand. So we did like 3/4 of the level, and we're like, where are these collectibles?
We are missing something.
Like, how are we missing this stuff? Where is it? And it turns out we just had to shoot at like this sign, and it like spins around. But like, we had no idea we could even shoot. And then once we figured that out, we just smoked the whole level like it wasn't even hard.
Right.
And then on top of all that, by the way, while you're playing with your friends and doing all this stuff, there's also the sickest cosmetics you have ever seen in your life.
Mm-hmm. You can get tons of costumes, mix and match all the pieces, change the color of your Sackboy
Hats, glasses, chest piece, shoes, pants, like
hair,
anything you can imagine, like wigs. I was dressed up like a I don't even know what to call it. It was like a robot. I looked like a Gundam thing, whatever they're called. I had like wings and like a robot suit on and like a visor on my head and like green hair and a sword.
And then his girlfriend had like a sack girl that had a galaxy skin, so it looked like she was in the stars, and had a dress on and fairy wings.
And then I was a dragon, and I like breathed smoke out of my nose.
You can also get little weapons to hit people with.
And emotes. You can do like emotes. I was blowing a kiss, and then
you
there's
can
like
dab.
a hula one, and you can what is it, like that? It's like,
you can dab. So then at the end of each level there...
Oh, and co-op emotes. You can like fist bump and stuff.
Yeah, high five.
That's pretty sick.
Like, come over here. The end of every level, it gives you like a little rundown of your score, and then tells you which player had the most score, and then it takes a picture of...
You wouldn't think that this would be a fun thing that we need to bring up, but it really is.
So then it gives you a little countdown, and it's going to take a picture. It locks the camera and zooms in on the player who performed the best on the level. And it'll say 3, 2, 1, and this is where the chaos truly takes its place.
Because not only can the person getting their picture taken do a pose, like, say, the dab. Not only can they do that, but the other players can do things to get in the picture.
Or they can punch you and steal the trophy for getting first place.
They can punch you, take the trophy, get their picture taken. They can punch you right as the picture's taken, and the picture is of you, like, and you're, like, getting smoked. Like, stuff like that. It's the best.
It's really fun, and it's just a little touch that makes the game a really fun experience, because... You can either work together and have really great co-op, or you can just beat the ever-living crap out of each other just have a fun time.
If you have 1 to 2 people besides yourself that you can like play a couch co-op game with and have fun, like if you've played games...
And it has online co-op as well.
Oh, yeah. If you've played like Overcooked or like any of those types of games, like and enjoyed that with people... You want to play
Sackboy, if you like 3D platformers, and especially if you enjoy co-op games where you can collect things and have fun.
Straight up, if you like Super Mario 3D World, but you want to like play an even sillier version with like a ton of levels and stuff.
This game, it has plenty of content. There are levels, it kind of reminds me of Rayman Legends, how like... The music is like legitimate. Yeah, it's not video game written music. Like it's Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars, like
Toxicity
remix.
By Britney Spears.
Right. So there's tons of stuff in the game to check out. There's tons of contests, costumes, challenges, levels, bosses, platforming.
It's good.
It has shooting, it has punching, it has
jumping on people's
fun
heads,
with your friends,
throwing them in a ditch.
So the best example I can give you is you're playing Mario and you're riding Yoshi, and you just jumped into a pit, and your options are die or ditch Yoshi down the hole and get up to the platform. You can do that to your friends.
It's a good point. It is fun sometimes to kill your friends, but also you'll sometimes accidentally kill them, and it's somehow still funny.
It's complete chaos,
and there's also great. Optional like time trial levels that are
very
crazy difficult,
very hard. The crab,
especially when you're all doing it together, it's bonkers.
The crab one is absurd. So yeah, highly recommend that game. I would say I definitely think that's a top tier game for the PS5 right now.
5 stars,
which surprises me.
I'm a 5-star man. Isn't that what not Glenn Howerton? That's the actor. Isn't that what Dennis says?
Yeah. I'm a 5-star man.
I'm a 5-star man.
So Sackboy, highly recommend for PS5. And then What else have you been playing, bro?
I've been playing Prey on stream. I started playing single player games once a week and then Warzone the rest of the week, which has been Mondays. I'm going to keep trying to do that Monday nights. I'm playing Prey until I finish it. I'm like 6 hours in right now. I find this game to be very difficult, mostly because I'm bad at figuring things out, and it doesn't
hold your hand.
It doesn't
basically
hold your hand, which is a good thing, but I'm bad at it. So I was saying I see this as a BioShock type game, but less linear. Not that BioShock is very linear, because it is very like, it's linear, but you can explore a lot within those areas, which is similar to Prey, but I feel like Prey lets you kind of go anywhere. Like, I can go out of the ship into space, come back in some completely other location, do something else, and then go back and do something else. And it's like, it doesn't keep you on track for the main story. You can like go off and do side missions, and it's like you can kind of go all over the ship whenever you want, and there's no really like containment, which is probably good for most people, but for me it just confuses the crap out of me. So I'm a little bit confused, but I'm trying to figure it out. But so right now I have like an objective, and it says my objective's like out in space in this one room, and I have to like go find the code for this room and then go back and continue the main quest once I put the code in. But I like went out in the space, and I've gone in like every single room that is available out there, and I can't find what I'm looking for. I did it for like an hour the other night, and it really started pissing me off. But I really like the game. And then there's also a nightmare thing. So like the Typhon is the enemies, and there's different types, and there's one called a Nightmare, and it's literally like a 20,000 foot tall enemy, and he just looks at me and I'm dead, and he just like one hit kills you. And I am assuming that there's something I need to do or have or something to either kill that or get away from it. But as of right now, I just run as fast as I can, because I'm just getting smoked by that thing. I think I only died to it once, and every other time I just ran away. But so yeah, I don't think I'm that far into it. I don't really know how long the game is. I'm probably like more than halfway through.
I don't know where you are. I couldn't tell you.
I don't really know.
I haven't played it since it came out, and I don't remember a whole lot, but I do remember that the glue gun lets you like pass a bunch of stuff. Like, you can just get past like barriers that are otherwise impossible. Like, there'll be a thing that's like, you can't get this yet, but if you use the glue gun right, you can get it.
Yeah,
and
so
stuff like that. Or certain powers.
If you never played Prey, this is the Prey from 2017. It's not the old one. But if you've never played Prey, you're basically like a guy who's been... It's almost like the Truman Show. Because you're like... It's like they're using you to like test things. So you're like living in a simulation, and they're like watching you and studying you. But then they're like using it to create these weird things out of cells, and it like turns into these Typhon monsters, and then they start...
And they can mimic things.
Yeah, they can mimic things. There's an enemy called Mimics, and it literally mimics things. And when he says mimics things, he means turns into a regular object. So kind of like that new Call of Duty mode, which I want to play, by the way, Prop Hunt, where you just look like a desk. Well, in this game, you can walk into a room, and the desk is just an enemy, and it turns into a monster and eats your face. Yeah, it's scary. So I have been scared. I got jump scared a couple times. I don't know if this game's supposed to have jump scares, but it jump scares me because I'm scared. But this game's scary. I do have trouble sometimes finding ammo, but I feel like a lot of the reason for that is you're supposed to find junk and put it in those machines and turn it into matter and then like make ammo. So I've been doing that as much as I can. I haven't really like gotten killed because I don't have ammo, but I do sometimes have to like run away and use my ammo very carefully because I'm going to run out, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they do kind of like space out those machines so that it's possible to just always have ammo, but it does get hard sometimes.
It's the game, I remember it being pretty damn hard. And I remember the shotgun basically being like the BioShock shotgun. Like, it's the exact
same thing. I thought, even the way it looks, there's no difference. As soon as I got that thing, I was like, this is the BioShock one. Like, this is the same thing. But I already upgraded that like 4 times. Like, I'm upgrading the crap out of the shotgun. But I think I've upgraded every gun at least once, and the shotgun like 5 or 6 times. But like, I see the upgrade slots that there are on each gun, and there's like a lot. Like there's like 3 or 4 categories with like 3 or 4 notches each on each gun, and I'm like, I must be 5 minutes into this game because I don't have any of this crap. Like it's crazy. And then you get those little neuromod things, and that's like your skill tree.
Yeah.
And there's like a million of those, and I don't have enough.
There's a ton of variety with how you can play that game.
I might be right in the beginning. I don't know.
There are a lot of powers in that game, and like depending on what you choose, the game can be a lot different.
There's always a lot of different pathways too. Like I feel like there's always different ways you can approach each situation, similar to what he was talking about in Cyberpunk. Like I learned the last time I played that like one of the doors that I wanted to go into to get like ammo and stuff, I had to go back and get the code off this guy to enter the door. But I actually had someone in my chat while I was streaming who was more experienced with the game, obviously, tell me that if you use the crossbow that shoots darts, there's a literal crossbow, a toy, like Nerf gun that shoots darts. If you use that, there's a little hole you can shoot into the office and shoot the computer screen, and it opens a door, and then you don't have to do any of that crap. And I was like, man, why'd you wait to tell me that until after I did all this? But I didn't want spoilers, so it's fine.
Yeah, there's tons of little things
stuff like that is really cool to me. Like, I love that kind of crap.
Anything that gives you freedom in multiple ways to approach things, giving the player agency with how they handle situations is
and that's like
better than other.
That's like
other option. Ow!
He just blasted the desk that everything is on. But that's like something that BioShock did similarly, was the codes for safes and stuff is like there's always some random room you can go in, just has a note with 4 numbers on it behind a painting near a desk of some guy, and then like 10 minutes later you're in some other room and you go, hey, there's a safe. What was that number? And then if you put it in, it opens. Like Prey. Same crap. You can just like find it. I've been looking on computers. You look in people's emails, and for some reason, like some guy named Zach will email Gus and be like, "Hey, if you need to get into this room, the code is 4179," and then it works, and you can just get in. Because for whatever reason in video games, people just love telling each other all their safe codes and stuff, like in emails and notes. But it's a good way to like let you feel like you're figuring stuff out when really it kind of was handed to you, but it wasn't really because you had to explore for it.
That was one thing we talked about with The Last of Us Part 2, how all the codes were just written down like 5 feet from where you have to use them. Like, I just wrote it on the whiteboard before I died.
Yeah, like, and then like one number is partly erased, but you can clearly see what number it is.
Yeah, it's like in that like trope in like movies and TV shows where like somebody writes a number as they die, and it's like, ah!
And then, like the last number's like dragging down. Like it's like
that happens in BioShock and in
the beginning, right?
No, in the garden place. What's it called?
Hephaestus?
No. Oh, jeez, it's gonna drive me nuts if I don't think of it. Arcadia. In Arcadia, when the gas pumps into that girl's room, and she's like, "Oh!"
She like in the fog, right?
Yeah, the steam on the window. She writes the number, and you have to look at it.
Squeaky sounds like.
Yeah, you have to go to the other side of the glass to read it. So I do like that stuff in games, but that was one thing I complained about with The Last of Us Part 2, is that the codes were all like literally inches from where you had to use it.
That was something. There's 2 games that I immediately think of that play similarly to like The Last of Us, BioShock, Prey, but they don't use that type of way of getting you to like explore an area and figure stuff out. The first one I'm thinking of is God of War, which uses like those symbols that you shoot to find the chests and stuff, which obviously fits the world better because there's not like safes in God of War. But I also felt like that was always difficult, but not so difficult that I was wasting my time on it. And I found it interesting. I don't know. It was always like slightly difficult, and it just took me 5 minutes or whatever to find those things, get them all done. And then like sometimes there was like a tricky one, and it took you a couple more minutes or whatever, but it was cool. And then the other game I'm thinking of is Hellblade, where you do those like big symbol things that you match up in the world. That's not like to get loot or anything, but that type of thing to me was like, it was really cool. And it was very different from every other game. Like, it was a completely new mechanic that made me feel like it was a puzzle that somebody finally didn't steal from Zelda. Like, it was just a new type of, like, hey, you gotta line this up, look over here, that tree looks like the side of an A. I like Hellblade, that game's good.
That game is good.
Alright, I'm done
There's
with that
something
now.
like that. Oh, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, they kind of copied that. How you have to, like, line up symbols that are, like, there's 3 rocks at different angles, and you have to go on the right angle to line it up.
I mean, maybe there were other games that did it before Hellblade, I have no idea, but I didn't play any.
So every year around Christmas, all of a sudden,
That was a dirty look. Right around Christmas.
Every year right around Christmas.
Time.
For some reason, I just decide I'm going to play a game, and then I get sucked into it, and this year... So, a few years ago, when I was putting out Puzzled Penguin, the game that got me through the stress of releasing a game was Murdered Soul Suspect. And then, every year since then, I've always... For some reason, there's just a game that at Christmas, I'm like, man, I gotta play this game.
I gotta play this random game that's like multiple years old, and I just really feel like playing it.
And this year, it's The Evil Within 2. I don't know why, but here we are. It is a game that I've had for several years. I played the first one and beat it on PS4, and now I have this. I'm playing it on the Series X right now. If you don't know what The Evil Within is, it's basically a survival horror game by one of the developers that worked on the first few Resident Evil games, including...
It's very Resident Evil-esque.
Yes. It's basically Resident Evil 4 style camera and gameplay. You have a knife, and then you get a pistol, and then you shoot zombies and explore like a big mansion that has keys that you need to unlock, and there's some psychological horror and twists and turns in the story, and it's a good game. Like, the first one is genuinely a really fun survival horror game. The second one starts with some psychological stuff, and then it kind of throws you into a semi-open world that you can explore, so that was a big difference from the first. So it throws you into a town. You can explore the town however you want. There's zombies through the area, and as you kill them, they don't ever respawn, so like the more enemies you clear out, the more freedom you have to move without finding enemies to fight. And then there's houses you can get into to find items, crafting materials, weapons, upgrades.
I feel like devs always make their sequel more open world.
Mm-hmm. It's a thing. Open worlds, like, for some reason within the last few years, everything wants to do an open world. Everything.
I feel like Skyrim did that. Like, once Skyrim was so big that people were sinking 1,000 hours into it and still having stuff to play, every other dev was like, you know what we need to do?
Open world.
That.
So everything is adding open worlds. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Like, The Last of Us Part 2 has that little open worldy section. That's pretty good because it was designed by, like, genius level designers.
Yeah. Naughty Dog people are great.
Yeah. So The Evil Within 2, honestly, this open section felt pretty good. It was basically like in other Resident Evil games, like say Resident Evil 2 Remake, you're in the police station, you can explore the police station, but you have to find keys to go unlock doors. Same with Resident Evil 7 in the mansion, the Baker house. You basically can explore the house at your leisure, but you have to find certain keys to open certain doors, you need to find weapon upgrades, etc., etc. So this was basically a spin on this. You can explore the town freely, but you need certain weapons or items to open certain areas, and as you go, you're basically bouncing back and forth, and you can explore freely. So far, I really like the game. There's stealth kills. Headshots obviously do more damage than other things. I'm on chapter 6. So after the open world area, there's like 3 or 4 bosses like right in a row, and it was wild. But there were no bosses really before that, which I thought was cool. There's tons of psychological horror. There's a few like little jump scares. It's got a very eerie, creepy vibe.
Sounds like it also has very good like sound design just from being in the room while you're playing.
It sounds very good.
Very creepy, and it really like sets the tone.
The music's very good.
Yeah.
Like basically the main antagonist is a guy. He's kind of like a Sander Cohen type guy where he kills people and wants to make art out of it, and he's just very weird, and he plays like classical music while he murders people and stuff like that. So it's very
Sander Cohen, baby.
Yeah, it's very creepy and eerie because, you know, like the old style violin music has that like horror vibe to it, even though it wasn't intended that way. So it has that vibe.
I feel like that's because like old horror movies used it, and now it's just like ingrained in everyone's minds that's what that is.
Mm-hmm. It's murder music.
Yeah. This is music I could kill somebody to. Yeehaw! That's not how they talked.
No. It's more like, hey, you can murder somebody. Yeah.
Hey, Big Jimmy, you wanna go kill somebody? You son of a dog's uncle, you? Hey there, Mr. Man.
Get that accent. It's very proper and almost like Southern, but not really.
Like you got molasses pouring out of your mouth.
Isn't that Andy from The Office?
Yeah.
So, overall, so far, The Evil Within, if you're into those types of games, like survival horror, third-person shooting, it has a bit of an open world section. I spent a good, 4 hours in the open world exploring and collecting everything. There's lots of, crafting supplies to make new ammo. It's definitely not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. It definitely gets hard, and you have to manage your supplies wisely. It definitely pays off to do stealth kills, but on the other end, the more enemies you kill, the more, what is it called? Green gel or whatever it's called, which is basically your
green
upgrades.
Stuff.
Yeah. So whenever you kill enemies, they drop green gel, and you bottle it up, and that's what you use to upgrade yourself, so you can have more health.
So it's like Dark Souls.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Not the game, just that.
Yeah, that one mechanic, basically. It has good quick save spots. I felt like anytime I died, it started me at a good spot. It lets you skip cutscenes. So, it has everything it needs to be a good game, and so far I'm really having a fun time with it. And if you're into Resident Evil, this game's perfect for a Resident Evil fan.
That's just the thing for you.
Just the thing. Level design is solid. It all makes sense structurally. I mean, it has its things where, there's a set of stairs, and you get to the top of the stairs, and there's 2 doors, and then there's an extra hallway with just nothing in it for no reason, like horror games always do. But overall,
and then you go down there, and you're thinking the whole time something's gonna jump out or be behind you, and it's really nothing, and you just look at a wall and then walk away.
But the psychological stuff, there's a lot of you walk to the end of the hallway, and there's nothing there, and you turn around, and the hallway is changed. Or, you turn around, and a door is moving, and it's jangling back and forth. So, yeah, I definitely recommend The Evil Within 1 and 2, and hopefully I can finish this game either tomorrow or definitely before Christmas.
Before Christmas time, and no need to be afraid.
Our next episode, I'm thinking, will be a Christmas video game extravaganza, because we're going to be playing a ton of video games, boy.
Extravaganza! It's an extravaganza.
So, video games are
You're
great.
You're a choo-choo, Charlie.
So, before Christmas and after Christmas, we're going to be playing games like Cyberpunk, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Demon Souls, Watch Dogs Legion,
Sackboy,
Warzone, Crash 4,
Prey.
There's so many games. So many games.
I love games. I'm gonna play them all. I just broke my desk.
It was his turn to break his own desk.
I'm gonna keep playing Ghost of Tsushima too.
He's in the middle of Ghost of Tsushima.
I'll give a big update on one episode when I feel like I'm good and into it enough that I can make a good call. If that makes sense. I don't feel comfortable judging it yet.
He has spoken.
I have spoken.
This is the way.
You're a choo-choo, Charlie.
This is the way.
All right.
We finished
else?
The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah,
it was amazing. Star Wars is back, baby.
The Mandalorian legitimately is the best thing Star Wars since
the OG
the original trilogy. Like none of the movies are better. I guess you could say that the Clone Wars show is very good too. But other than that, like
Season 2 was bonkers.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's cool. It makes you get that feeling that you get when you watch the OT and you're like, man, they're gonna do this and then this is gonna happen and then like this guy shows up and it's like, yeah, and then that's like how the Mandalorian
get it
is
all
right now.
Jacked up about
Every
it.
time something happens or somebody shows up and then a certain person shows up and then, you know, like in the season 2 of Mandalorian, there's like several people who show up and you're just like giddy. You're like, look who it is. No spoilers, but look how that person is there.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend The Mandalorian if you're into Star Wars whatsoever. Because we are not fans of this. We are not fans of the sequels by any stretch. I thought The Force Awakens was good despite it being basically a remake of the original movie, but I thought it was a good movie.
And then the other two are bad.
And then the other two are just
poopy, 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 poopy.
But I also watched The Queen's Gambit, which was pretty great. I recommend that show to anyone who's into like good TV shows. It's got some humor.
I've never watched it.
It's basically like a sports movie except around chess. They make chess seem like a sport and they make it exciting.
He told me it was like if Rocky played chess. And
yes.
I was like, that sounds horrible because the best part of Rocky is when he punches people in the face and he's not going to do that in chess.
It's more of a witty sport rather than a physical sport. You know what I mean? So it's got a different vibe. But anyway.
Fart noise.
We're going to be playing tons of video games. Christmas is video game time of year. I'm going to have multiple 3 to 4 day weekends coming up, and it's gonna be
unleash the fury.
Gonna be playing so many video games.
So the next episode will be the Christmas extravaganza episode. You don't have anything else?
Just we're gonna be playing tons of video games and talking about them, and it's gonna be great the whole time.
We love video games.
Video games are great. I highly recommend playing them.
If you watch this far, we love you.
Yes,
and we hope you play more video games this week.
Yes, make time for video games. When your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, kid goes to bed.
Or when they're not in bed, just play Sackboy with them.
Yeah, get some co-op games going with the fam, guys.
Your significant other, your child, everyone will like playing that game with you.
And next year, Super Mario 3D World's coming out on Switch is the perfect co-op game to follow up Sackboy with if you never had a Wii U. It's a really good game. And, if you play Sackboy and you're like, wow, this is pretty good. What's another game that's like this? Super Mario 3D World comes out on Switch soon, and that's basically what Sackboy got the idea from.
It's very good, and yes, it is a lot of Sackboy is inspired by that, so you're gonna want to check that out.
Oh, for sure. So, I think next episode, since it's probably going to be the last one before the end of 2020, right?
Yeah. Be the last one this year.
We'll probably talk about our favorite games of the year, not in such a, like, Game of the Year, Game Awards 2020, baby! We'll just talk about games we really liked this year, and give recommendations, maybe some, like, lesser-known games, maybe some... So, just our recommendations for games of 2020.
And I will be making up my own Game of the Year awards, just like Mega 64 used to.
They still do. Todd and Aaron, yeah. Todd and Aaron.
Mega 64 is great. Look them
Yeah,
up.
we'll do our own categories for games of the
I don't
year.
know if we're actually going to do that. I just said that, but it might happen. I don't know. You never know. This
But
is a hard mode gaming podcast, man. Anything goes.
Anything can happen.
You never know.
So that'll be it for episode number
12. I think it's 12. I'm pretty sure. If it's
12.
If it's not 12, next episode's 12.
So
it's one of those.
It's definitely in the double digits.
But anyway,
thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe to both of our channels, MidSofting, RedSoftQ4. Follow us on
Twitter,
Instagram, MidSofting, RedSoftQ4.
Play more video games.
Play more video games than you did last week.
Enjoy your Christmas. Jewish holidays /
Hanukkah / whatever other holidays you might celebrate. I don't really know all the names, but there's probably like 500. So whatever you like, do your thing.
Just do that, but make sure you're playing video games.
Hope it's pleasant and hope you have video games the whole time. And we will see you on the next episode when we talk about all the stuff that we just said we were going to talk about. Bada bing, bada boom. T-Hard out.